Hey, gorgeous.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, honey. The people are waiting for you.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that I was supposed to request. So until you said that, I was just on there like I didn't know what to do.
No
How you
worries.
doing? You look beautiful.
Thank you. They're like, tell her to follow me, please. They're like, she'll never follow me. I'm like, you never know. She might. So your fans are deep here.
I definitely follow some people. If I see their name a bunch of times, I sometimes finally catch on and follow people.
Yes. How are you? How is quarantine going?
I'm well. I'm well. Quarantine is not my thing, but I'm trying to make use of the time
Right.
and
Okay.
just, but it's getting easier as the time goes on, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
but
I'm excited to talk to you
me
today.
too.
Love your curls. So
Thank you.
Jude, you grew up in Detroit,
Hmm.
um, in a predominantly Black church environment, right? How did that inspire like your sounds and your like way, if you will?
Yeah, I grew up in Detroit. I think I moved there when I was 9 from, before that I was in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And so I spent my time at two different churches. One was Bethel Pentecostal in Grand Rapids, and the other one was Perfecting in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just, for us, it was more of my environment than any school really was, because I went to a lot of different schools, like 10 or 11 different schools. So the only thing that never changed in my life was the church I went to, if
Right.
that makes sense. So that was like my constant. That's where my friends were. That's where I learned to sing and dance and act. And it really shaped everything about me. It shaped everything about me, from my spirituality to
Mm-hmm.
the way that I do music and art and all of it. I cannot thank God or my mother enough for having
Amen.
raised me there,
Yes.
because I don't know who I would be without it.
You left Detroit at 16 to come here to LA. You like took a big leap of faith. What did that leap of faith teach you? Because you're already grounded in Christianity. What did that experience teach you of leaving home at such an early age to you already knew what you wanted to do? What did that teach you?
Um, I mean, it taught me so much. It was a scary thing to do, but I think because I was so young, none of that dawned on me. It didn't feel scary. It just felt like this is what I was supposed to do, and I was sure of that. I had been trying to get to LA since I was 12 years old. So, and I had just been trying. And my mother was the type of mother who she would have packed up her car and gone to LA and lived in
Yeah.
the car. Like she would have done anything. But we just didn't even have like the car to live in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we
Right.
didn't even have like any way to get here.
Right.
And so we waited and we prayed, and we prayed for the opportunity. And it was just one of those things where it was so clear. My older sister, she got a job transfer to LA,
Mm-hmm.
and they were paying for her U-Haul,
Wow.
to move her. She worked at like an accounting firm,
Wow.
and they were paying for a U-Haul. And I was like,
That,
I'm on the U-Haul.
right. That's your time.
Because I had really been praying for a way for 4 years. And so we just took the chance. And sometimes that stuff just happens. Just the way that opportunities arise are so clear,
Right.
and
Right.
it's so obvious to you that the fear it just wasn't even a part of it.
When you got here, you like took off though, right? Like you started working and you were in a girl group yourself. How that's so random that you were in a girl group when you came
I
here.
know.
And then you signed with LA Reid and even wrote for Fifth Harmony. Work from home. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, it was actually all of that happened over the course of like 8 years.
Okay. Okay.
So it was a very slow burn. So I got here at 16. I ended up in a girl group that year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anybody in the music industry,
Mm-hmm.
but I was a backup dancer. And at the studio where I would rehearse,
Mm-hmm.
they were doing auditions for a girl group. And I didn't really think I was a singer. I thought I was a rapper. So I told them, well, I can't really sing, but I'll rap, you know, and I can write really good. So I can write you guys songs and I can rap and dance.
Right.
And they were like, we don't need a rapper, we need a singer. And so I said, okay, well, I'll sing. And I sang, and I was in the girl group that day.
Wow.
And so I did that when I was 16 for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started meeting people in the music industry because of that.
Right.
That's how I ended up writing for different, you know, TV shows and different people. And eventually met L.A. Reid. But that was between 16 and 19.
So you're an example of telling it like it is. Thank you for saying that, because so many people are watching this, and how I said it, people would think, oh, you just got here and it happened overnight. But you're like, no, it was a course, it was a journey, it was a process.
Oh, no. I mean, we lived in a different place every couple months.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have work, really. We didn't ever have a car. I took buses until I got a record deal. We lived in the back of a church. I mean, we did anything we had to do. It was like I don't ever want anybody to think that it was a miraculous thing. It did not happen the way that it did on Star. You know, it was a very slow burn. It was a very difficult process. My mother sacrificed more than I can ever repay. And it was very hard. And I think that anybody who's ever moved to LA in that way,
mm-hmm.
has probably had somewhat of that experience. It's just a difficult place.
Right.
It really is.
Right. So Star, the people are in here. They're like, hey, get the Star.
I know.
Wait a minute.
I know they don't care about anything but Star.
They don't, girl. But look, I
it's okay.
Yes. Okay, so Star, we loved you on there. Star Davis, 3 seasons. Okay, I have a few questions for you because we want to know. And the cast got together recently for a Zoom. How was that? I saw you guys. Everybody got together.
We did. We've actually Zoomed a couple times now with different groups. Like a couple people were missing the first time, so we did another one.
That's so cool.
But yeah, it's crazy that we have a cast that has now become friends who still want to Zoom.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's nothing for us to have like a group chat or hop on House Party or whatever it is, you know. We just made friendships that we don't need to be on set for. We don't need to be working to want to talk to each other. And I think I didn't know that was rare, because that's really my first experience, mm-hmm. you know, on a show. But I'm learning, the more sets I go on, I'm learning that it is rare, and I'm so grateful for it. I wish I knew when I was there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How rare that was going to be, but I know now. And I'm just so grateful for those people, for all of them.
I was like, look at that. That's beautiful. Because it's something that you don't expect, right? To become family with the people that you work with. So that's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
it was amazing. I'm still blown away by it.
Right. So, okay, last year it was announced, like right before the season 3 finale, that you guys were not coming back. You guys were canceled. And then it was Lee Daniels, I think, made the announcement that you guys were going to do a movie to kind of wrap it all up for the fans. So can you speak to us about why the show got canceled? I've heard it was because it was bought up by Disney. Fox was bought by Disney, but can you elaborate for us from somebody that's in it?
We really don't know. Okay. I mean, it's just not something that they share with us. Mm-hmm. We know it wasn't ratings. Like, we know it wasn't viewership. We were doing great. So we knew it was more about the buyout and the changeover and the different people coming in, and all that we can assume is that they were making changes and maybe they wanted to bring in new TV shows. I really don't know. But yeah, they don't tell us. They're just like.
So what was your reaction, you individually, when you found out, when you got the news? Where were you when you got the news? Was it like from your agent, or did you find out on social media?
It was Lee. Lee called me.
Okay.
So normally you would find out from your agent, but Lee called me as soon as he found out.
Okay.
And he just said, we didn't get season 4.
And what did you say? Were you crying or what?
I said, I thought he was joking. I was like, are you playing or are you serious? And he was like, we didn't get it. And I was like, why? I didn't understand why. I was like, what? How come? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay. But I mean, there was just this, it was just surprising. You know what I mean? I just didn't. But at the same time, I had a weird feeling when I saw the finale. Mm-hmm. The way the finale went.
Yeah.
I had a really weird feeling. I was like, this is a little, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, you know, we've never seen it. So when we watch it, mm-hmm. we're seeing it for the first time.
Right.
So I watched it and I was like, everybody's dead.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, what's going to happen next?
Clutch your pearls.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just I think it was just sad. I mean, everybody was sad.
Yeah. So the show followed 3 young women the people who don't know, but obviously everybody here knows. Followed 3 young women pursuing they formed a music group, and now they're, you know, navigating this whole crazy, hectic world of the music business. Could you relate to your character, being that you were, again, in a music group when you came to LA?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was what was so, you know, I'd been auditioning for characters for years. Mm-hmm. Literally at that point, I think 7 years I'd been auditioning, and I'd played some different roles, like guest roles and stuff, but I had never played a role or even auditioned for a role where I felt like I could use my experience in that character's life.
Right.
We weren't similar, but our lives were.
Okay.
So I think that's what was sort of, it was like she was a different person than me, but we had lived similar lives.
Right.
So I was able to understand some of the choices she made and the sort of that chip on her shoulder that she had. Mm-hmm. Even though I didn't have it, I understood where it came from. And I understood that I easily could have been more like her, mm-hmm. you know, if I hadn't had the mother I had and the God I had, you know what I'm saying? Totally. I knew a lot of girls like her in my life. And so she wasn't like a new type of person to me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, in that way, I think that my life was very informative to the character.
Right. Lee said that he knew that when he saw you that, okay, I want her, but you had to audition like over 11 times. What was different about each audition process? Were you like nerve-wracked that you had to audition so many times for it, or was it okay?
Well, it was a secret to me that he knew. Like, he says that, mm-hmm. but he didn't let me know that at all.
At the time.
So it was I mean, when I came in, it didn't seem like he was going to put me on this show, mm-hmm. like, at all. And like I said, I had never done a pilot. I had never been cast as a lead in anything.
Right.
And I'd always played like guest stars. So mm-hmm. I'd never been on like a core cast. Mm-hmm. So it was new for me to get that far in the process. And I had no idea how he felt. But what I did know is that every couple days I would get a call from my agent, and it would be like, they want to see you again. And I'm like, am I reading again? Or like,
right, what is it?
You know, like, what am I doing this time? And I would go in and it would be different every time. I would be singing one time and dancing for somebody one time. Mm-hmm. I'd be meeting. And then eventually I met, I think on my 3rd audition, I met Brittany. Okay. For Simone. And then I met a girl who we were sort of playing as Alex.
Okay.
So it was like, so we had like a trio of like, there was a star, Alex, and Simone that was like the same ones I saw every time.
Okay.
So I assumed that other people had other trios. Does that make, like, I thought that there were like different trios going on or something. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what was happening. I just knew every time I came, it was the same girls. Wow. And we rehearsed together. We figured out songs together and harmonies so we could be ready for the next audition.
Right. I mean, you guys were perfect. The 3 of you, it was like you were a real, like, watching the show, it was like you guys were, it was a perfect fit.
Right, and we didn't even, and that was what was so funny is we didn't even, so me and Simone ended up meeting Ryan in our very last audition.
Oh, wow.
That's the day we met Ryan and Amaya.
Okay.
And we'd never met them before. So they came in, and on our last audition, it was the 4 of us.
Okay.
But it was very, I mean, it was very like, we still didn't know if we had it, but it felt like
Right.
the show was forming, like
Right.
before our eyes.
Right.
So, yeah.
So let me conclude the star talk.
Okay.
Do you feel like you guys will do the movie, or have you heard anything more about a possible wrap up of it, or could it be possibly picked up by another network like a Netflix? Or
We don't know anything
Okay.
about any like remakes or movies or anything.
Okay.
But all I can really say is that if there's ever an opportunity to play Star again, I'll do it, you know.
Better.
And if there's ever an opportunity to work with my cast again, I'll do it. Any of them on any day. So I'm just open to whatever.
Right.
And grateful for all of that, and very happy to jump back in if anything ever happens. But we really don't know. We're not like holding out. We don't know.
Okay. Like I was gonna say, give me some, but I'll be praying on it, because you guys were such a good show, and
Thank
so many
you.
lessons came from that show. So many messages, right, for viewers
Yeah.
that are watching. So
that's what made us the proudest, I think, is when we got to speak up for anybody that we could.
right. Into the Dark Crawlers, Hulu.
Yes.
Talk to us about Chloe Willis, and tell us a little bit about that experience of shooting that movie. Horror movie, right? So how was that?
That was totally different for me.
Right.
The character, first of all, was originally when I booked it, when I read for it, she was very ditzy,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like almost preppy, like a cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really excited to do it because it was so different from Star.
Right.
And she still was that way in the movie, but when I got there, they were like, we kind of want to like lean into the Star thing. So they put me in hoops and baggy pants and whatever. And I was like, oh no. I was like, no, give me the cheerleader outfit. Like I want to, you know, but it was very fun to do something, you know, campy
Mm-hmm.
and sort of over the top and funny. I've never done anything in that genre before, so it was all brand new for me.
Right.
Just getting chopped up and
it's
saying the F word so many times. I was like, I don't want to say the F word this many times.
But it was good. It's on Hulu now.
Yeah.
It came out March 5th, I believe.
Yeah.
So last month. So people go and watch that if you're having Star Wars
Yes.
draw.
Chloe Willis, the drunk party girl.
Yes. I also loved you on Dallas. Playing
Oh,
Candace.
thank you.
Yes. You played 6 episodes on that show. Had you watched the original from the 80s prior to joining the reboot of the show?
No, I hadn't. But I was so excited because I watched Step by Step when I was little. And
Yes.
the dad was on there. And when I came in the hair and makeup trailer, he was sitting there and I was like, oh my God. So that was that was the first time I ever recurred on a show. Like I did multiple episodes, and she was a like Southern
girl
prostitute. I don't know.
I loved it. I was here for it. I was like, okay, Candace.
But that was like my first, that was my first role where I got to go a bunch of times, and I lived in Dallas for like a couple months for that.
Yeah.
That was fun, and that was my first experience, you know, being on a set, having different directors every episode, and it kind of prepared me for like, you know,
right,
the next one.
Last year, I believe it was, you went to Israel. Is that right? Was it last
Yeah.
year? What was that experience like? I've always wanted to go. I still want to go someday. What was that experience like, being that you're rooted in your Christianity, a woman of faith? How did that experience change you?
It was incredible. I think that, you know, my whole life I mean, there's so many places that I want to go that are on my bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one of them. I always wanted to go to Jerusalem and to Nazareth and Galilee and go walk where Jesus walked. And I think what's so interesting about our faith is that it's we walk by faith and not by sight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't need proof the whole idea is that our proof is that, you know, God left his spirit here. And so we walk by our spirit and we're guided by our spirit. But being in Jerusalem and being in the actual places where Jesus walked and standing in buildings he stood in and putting your hand on walls that his hands were on, it just, it makes your faith so much realer. You realize that you're living in the same time as him. Like you're living, we feel like it was so long ago, but then you get there and you realize I can touch a wall that was there when he was there. And that's just something that, you know, you can't get anywhere else. And so that's a trip I'm just so grateful for.
Yes.
And I want to go back with my husband and show him. So we're probably going to go back. I mean, who knows when we get to travel again, Lord. I just realized, I was like, wait a minute.
Dan, you'll get to go back. You'll get to go back for sure.
Yeah.
So Jude, tell me about being a mom. You had a baby boy, Judah.
Yes.
What was it, 2 years ago, I believe?
A year and 5 months.
Okay. What's been the most rewarding part of being a new mom?
All of it. I mean, every day, just having, as an actor and a musician and somebody who's always traveling and always in a different place, it was grounding to have this home no matter where I am, if that makes sense. Like having Judah wherever I might have to go means my home is with me, and I have a smile at the end of the day, and I have a reason to come home, and it's just a different experience. It can be lonely to shoot on location, and I'm so grateful for him, and it's changed the perspective of my life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Your pregnancy was even featured on Star. Was that your idea to have that, or whose idea was that?
So I didn't tell anybody I was pregnant until I was 5 months pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And by anybody, I mean literally like nobody.
You weren't showing big, or you were just small? Because you're tiny.
Oh my goodness, you should have seen the outfits. They were ridiculous. I was wearing like tents, and I thought people couldn't tell I was pregnant.
Right.
And they clearly could, or maybe they were being nice. I don't know. But I was hiding it because I didn't know what they would decide to do with the pregnancy on the show, and I didn't want to ruin any storylines or, you know, whatever. I wanted to give them sort of some freedom to do whatever they needed to do. So when I told Lee, he immediately started brainstorming about the funniest things we could do, basically, with this pregnancy with Star. And he never wanted to hide it. He always wanted to use it in the show.
Beautiful.
He always thought that it would be fun to see her pregnant and like going ham on people, and doing whatever she, you know, whatever she does. And so he just went off with it, and I did too, because I thought it was fun too. So he was like, "Can you fight?" I was like, "I can still fight." He's like, "Can you dance?" I'm like, "I can still dance."
Yeah.
He's like, "On a monster truck?" I'm like, "Sure." So it was just, you know, we just had fun with it, and it made the pregnancy for me so much more fun, because we were using it, and because it, you know, they just never made me feel like it was it was like, oh, what, like, how are we gonna do this? Or it was just fun. We just thought of the craziest things we could do, like, who's gonna be the father? I was like, why not 2 fathers?
You nailed it. I was like, I love that, because I always wonder, like, who was it, your idea, or was it the producers, or were they okay with it? Because some people will hide the pregnancy, and I'm like, I bet that could be a lot of pressure on, you know, a woman to have to hide her pregnancy for work, you know? Yeah,
I did hide until I was 7.5 months.
Okay.
So until the trailer aired that showed that I was pregnant, I was like going to, I couldn't really leave the house because I was in Atlanta.
Okay.
So I would go to Starbucks in like a giant.
You already were oversized anyway, so.
I do all the time.
Yeah.
That was the only gift. I didn't have to buy any maternity clothes because all my clothes are men's clothes.
Right.
Yeah.
Love that. Are you doing any new music? I saw you put out a project in January, a single, I believe it was.
It was a single for it wasn't really a single. It was more of I put out you're talking about The Coolest.
Yeah.
So I put that song out because so many of my friends and family members were struggling with addiction, and then so many of the artists that we love were losing, and we're losing them young. And I just felt like it really is a lot of our responsibility in the music industry. We can't act like we're not the ones writing the songs that are glorifying these things, and we're choosing the imagery. You know, like a lot of artists use like little pills on their album cover, or they, you know,
or they say it.
Yeah, they say it, or they just make it they make it cute. And I was just like, we have to stop making it cute, because we're the ones in these sessions writing the hooks for the rappers, and you know what I mean? Like, we're all a part of it.
Right.
And so Ammo had started that song, and it was never going to be something I put out, but it was something that not every artist wants to touch on. And so I was like, I'm just going to do it.
But it's needed.
I'm just going to do it. And this was the week that Juice passed. I was just like, I was fed up, you know?
Right.
So we finished it and we put it out, and the proceeds go to Teen Challenge, which is an amazing organization that helps people through addiction. So yeah, that was the purpose of that song.
Okay.
But my first song that I'm actually going to put out, and video will be coming.
Ooh,
yeah.
Video.
I'm doing a quarantine video. I didn't want to do it, but I have to. I mean, I can't wait. You know, I don't know when this is going to be up. So the song and the video will be out May 16th.
Okay. Well, we'll be watching. Will you release it on your Instagram, obviously, right?
Forgot About God. Yep. It's on SoundCloud for now. And then it'll be out on all platforms with the video May 16th.
Okay. Back to quarantine before I let you go. Have you felt the need to create and then the need to not create? And have you like beat yourself up for like when you don't feel like creating? How has that been for you? Because so many people are like, you have to come out of this like this. And then other people are like, no, you don't.
I know.
Your opinion?
I've never been very good at being still.
Right.
I've never been a very I don't take naps. I don't do like self-care. I don't do rest and relaxation. Like, I love working so much.
Right.
And I love working in between work. And I like finding something. Yes, I like finding something to do. Like on Star, we would work 16-hour days, and in the trailer at lunchtime, I would be filling in lyrics to a song for one of my writer friends who's like, hey, can you give me lyrics to this thing real quick? I'd be like, sure, while I'm filming. You know what I mean? So this has been a huge challenge to me, to not go crazy and to not hate on myself. Like you're saying, like, it's really been hard for me to not judge my worth based on what I'm producing and what I'm creating, and if it's good, and if I'm spending every second of this time working and doing something and making something cool. I've had to really, really fight to not beat myself up for the days where I just feel like, oh my God, I'm stuck in the house, you know? But I have definitely felt pressure to create. I've written a lot of songs. I've written a lot of ideas for different projects. I've just tried to busy myself as much as possible. And it's really my mom who's been like,
take
your time. You need to let yourself, you know, everybody's in the same position right now. You have to remember that. And she's been reminding me of that. Everybody in the world, the whole globe is going through this with you. You know? So, yeah, I've been trying to slow down and be prayerful and play with JUDE sometimes and just have fun. But it's hard for people who are work oriented, and always putting that pressure on themselves. What about you? How do you feel?
I've been both. Like, I felt like beating myself up if I feel like, okay, let me just sit down. And it's like you feel like you have to keep being busy, but I don't know, like your mom said, we're all at a standstill. So
Yep.
just doing the best that we can do, I think. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gorgeous, for
Thank
talking
you
to me today. Everybody on here already followed you, but
this was awesome. I really appreciate. I just want to say I really appreciate your questions and just your your manner of speaking and interviewing and all of that. It's just really genuine and it's been fun. So I appreciate it.
I love you.
Love you too. Thank you so much.
Proud of you. Kiss Judah for me, and
I will.
Looking forward to your visual on May